Good evening and welcome to News. I'm Salma Tabak. Coming up in tonight's edition of News, National Electoral Commission presents annual report to President's Bill. King George VI tomb urgently needs support at Grafton. A 17-year-old K.WOMAN HASSANATU CONTEH cries for help. And APC Daddy Avando, winner of the Bond municipal elections, defects to the Sailing People's Party. All the stories and more, including sports and the entertainment news, including international news as well. Thank you so much for watching News. Welcome to News tonight. The National Electoral Commission today handed over the Commission's annual report to President Bio at State House. The report, which was handed over by the Western Region Commissioner, Miata French, entails the 2018 general elections, the village head elections, and other programs of the Commission. How must you report?
Present our report as per the constitutional requirement. Section 32(12) of the Constitution requires that we submit our annual report to the President. On behalf of the Commission, I would like to present you the report.
According to the Western Region Chairperson of the National Electoral Commission, Miata French, the 2017 Annual National Electoral Commission report highlights the profile of the Commission, constitutional mandate, functions, and accomplishments of the 10 departments within the Commission. She briefed the President that the Commission reviewed and drew 132 constituencies and 446 wards for the 2018 presidential, parliamentary,
We apologize for the heat during that report. We hope to bring you that report as soon as progresses. The King George VI Memorial Home at Grafton in the Western Rural District was established to house and provide care for the aged. The home, which is currently housing over 50 aged people, is faced with financial constraints to run the home. Inmates and the caretakers of the home, the Society for the Welfare of the Aged, made a disclosure when SLBC visited the home to know their plight. Ibrahim Sumar reports.
This is the King George VI Memorial Home, which is currently housing over 50 aged, brought from different families from across the country. The home was relocated from its original place at Kisidokyard, Shell Company, to Grafton, situated in the Western Rural Area Districts, in 2012. Originally, the King George VI Memorial Home was formally opened on the 12th of May 1947 to house and care for soldiers wounded during the Second World War. Just after the war, the British government handed the buildings over to the Sierra Leone government. In 1988, a few concerned citizens formed the Sierra Leone Society for the Welfare of the Aged and took over the running of the home. The society aims and objectives include the provision of shelter, support and care for the elderly and destitute in the country. The home, since it was handed to the government, was put under the Ministry of Social Welfare to be supporting the home through the government's subvention, providing medical for both inmates and staff, and social amenities among others. But over the years, these support have not been forthcoming, and the home is now faced with financial constraints and lacks basic social amenities to be enjoyed by the inmates. Currently, the home is being run by the Sierra Leone Society for the Welfare of the Aged through fundraising activities, donation from philanthropic nationals, institutions, companies, church organizations, clubs, and well-wishers at home and abroad. On arrival at the home, we met a team from MoneyGram who went there to provide assorted foodstuffs. According to members of the society, MoneyGram is one of the philanthropic institutions that has been giving helping hands to the home. The team from MoneyGram provided food items such as bags of rice, onions, palm oil, and bags of sugar, among others. They told SLBC that the donation is part of their corporate social responsibility, and every year they have been giving helping hands to the home as a show of care and love for the inmates. Hannah Dean is the treasurer of the Sierra Leone Society for the Welfare of the Aged, the society presently running the home. She said the society endeavors at all times to provide the general welfare of the aged.
But with all them
even though we have enough food in stores, yet still we are faced with many challenges. If not for the timely intervention of the Alara Bob Thomas Foundation, who has provided financial support for payment of staff, I wonder what would have happened.
We need more improvements at the
Inmates called on governments to look into their plights and to be provided with basic amenities.
Sir, I have a constraint. If you would take a look out there, you will see a stall layout where the almond tree stands. But my problems are materials which I cannot afford. Material needed: 2 trips of sand, 8 bags of cement, bags of carpet grass, and flowers.
This place currently in need of beddings, toiletries, and furniture, among others. Ibrahim Samora, Freetown.
Plastic waste has been an increasingly worrisome menace as countries still struggle to tackle globally. Some countries have been able to solve the problem while others, like Sierra Leone, are still grappling with it. Phoebe Sui reports.
In Freetown is mainly caused by the dumping of empty sachets after consumption of its content by the consumers. The Freetown City Council have been struggling to contain and handle the situation, which contributes to the flooding disasters when it rains.
It is difficult to handle plastic, but on the side of the Freetown City Council, we realize that if we really want to tackle the problems of plastic waste in the city, we have to look at it holistically. And we have had discussion with some of the guys producing the plastic, the Miller, some of these ones are chartered companies. And what they have been saying is that they have their registered business, and so they have the rights to operate. So this is simply telling you that there is some aspect of policy issue. That is to say, if we have a very strong policy, it will be able to help the process.
An innovative solution to the problem has emerged by a football team called FC King Kong, a group of young people who buy the empty plastic sachets and convert them into several useful items and donate them to vulnerable communities.
See here, so this young man is done so. A90 for the cut arm. After we don't cut this plastic now, we take and wash them. You see, because as you don't cut so now, they put them down there and put that small box there.
Lamin continued that the next stage after washing is drying, and then finally to the tailor who designs various items.
This is like rice bag that people can use as trash cans in their communities. Even do school bags that can take books.
Oh, put everything, like we put books there.
But this innovation is not a countrywide permanent solution to the problem of plastic waste. What more can be done?
If you're operating a plastic factory, as part of the policy, it might be included that you must be responsible for the waste that you generate. You must put in place some kind of system to collect those waste, but that is absent in that policy. All what is in there is you get a document and you start your operation. If you look at our drainages, you look at some of the public places, you will notice that plastic waste is really causing some kind of problem. So apart from the gaps within the policy, at the council, we decided that it would be good if we can, identify people that can recycle this plastic. And as I speak, we have engaged a group called Low Plastic. Basically, what they will be doing is to collect the plastic waste and transform it to pallets, which they intend to export to China.
In 2008, Rwanda completely banned plastic bags while the rest of the world was not considering it. Walking in the streets of Rwanda with plastic bags can result to $150 fine, and store owners stocking them get between 6 to 12 months in prison. They are even confiscated at the airport upon arrival and switched with paper bags. Unlike other countries, Rwanda doesn't struggle with plastic waste control.
Rwanda, it boils down to policy. It's a national policy. The government gave instruction. The government saying, I don't want plastic in my country. It is from the top. You understand? As a council, we are, much more at the lower in terms of hierarchy. So basically what we are saying, if the government could come out with that, the ban of plastic, that we are very much willing to work in that direction, being a local authority.
Phoebian Swill, SLBC, Freetown.
Many thanks to our own Phoebian Swill. A 17-year-old Kotu and HASSANATU CONTEH, who has successfully completed high school and about to enter university, is suffering from lungs problem, and by medical examination, she has barely less than a month to live. $25,000 is needed for the surgery abroad. Awona Patrick Kamara visited her.
K2 HASSANATU CONTEH and her parents are appealing on philanthropists and humanitarians to help raise the fund needed to do the operation to save her life. Since 2014, K2 has started experiencing this problem and was hospitalized at the Connaught Hospital, where they did her first operation in 2016, and doctors later discovered that her lungs had damage. Kutu was also admitted at the Joy Hospital and Lionheart Medical Center in Yile, where doctors referred the child for an operation in abroad because it cannot be done locally. Bye-Bye CONTEH is the father of Kutu. He said her daughter has been treated for TB and other diseases that were diagnosed, but her health did not improve.
Kutu started to experience this sick year in 2014 during Ebola.
Since 2014, she started complaining. I took her to the hospital and was treated for TB. She got better. In 2016 again, she started feeling the same and was again taken to hospital and discharged after spending a month at the Connaught Hospital. In 2018, she started feeling worse. I took her to the Chinese at Jui, but they rejected us on the grounds that they cannot handle the alignment. I took her again to a German doctor in Yile, and he finally told us to quickly take her abroad for operation. She is my fourth daughter, but I like her so much. Please help me to regain her health. The money is too much for us to raise as parents.
Just pray to pray that help me. Help me. I'm going to know when doctor don't see it. So if God no kill it, no kill it.
Kutu HASSANATU CONTEH is the daughter of Mr. and Mrs. Bye-Bye CONTEH, who is suffering from lungs problem and needs immediate replant operation, which cannot be done in Sierra Leone, and needed over $25,000 for the operations.
The client, Sierra Leoneans, anybody, wherever you in the world, please help.
Please help me. I am a promising girl. I have my dream to help others in life. I should have entered university this year, but due to this illness, I cannot make it. I have no friends anymore because they are all busy with their classes. Please help me to regain my health. I have got my university requirements, but I cannot further my education.
All I plead for is helping second chance in life.
According to medical reports, Kutu need emergency replant of her lungs in less than a month.
The Ministry of Basic and Senior Secondary School Education is to conduct the first ever digital school census in the country with support from the World Bank. Primary and secondary schools in all 16 districts will be surveyed nationwide that will serve as an educational information tool to the United Nations Educational, Scientific and Cultural Organization's Institute of Statistics. Sariba Summer reports.
Of basic and senior secondary school education every year gather and measure information on variables of interest that answer stated research questions to evaluate outcomes. This has always been done manually by enumerators. This year's survey is different as data will be collected and analyzed digitally. Inspectors of school, district support officers and information technology focal persons of the Ministry of Basic and Senior Secondary School have been trained by the World Bank in Freetown to undertake a digitalized data collection throughout the country. Education specialist at the World Bank in Freetown, Andilib Alam, says the process will enhance increased access to schools in the country.
The World Bank is supporting the Ministry of Basic and Senior Secondary Education to undertake this national needs assessment. So this national needs assessment, as you heard, sets the baseline for what is the situation in the schools. How many students, how many teachers, what kinds of teachers, what kind of facilities, what kind of classrooms and infrastructures they have.
Ms. Alam added that the exercise is the World Bank's Revitalizing Education Project, which targets to improve on global education. The Director of Policy and Planning, Ministry of Basic and Senior Secondary School Education, Adam Mamomo, said that the digitalized data will serve as a firm foundation for the ministry in terms of allocation of funds and will improve delivery.
Annual school census is actually an exercise wherein the ministry collect basic administrative information on all educational facilities in the country, from pupils enrollment to educational infrastructure to teachers in the schools and so on and so forth, and even to the very latest now that we are going to embark on school mapping. We map out schools to know which areas are served and which areas are underserved.
She added that the school census was requested by the Minister of Basic and Senior Secondary Education, Dr. Alpha Timbo.
The Minister has informed these stakeholders that he is going to establish education ward committees, that at each ward level. That's why even after this training of trainers, when we go back for the district training, we are going to recruit enumerators from different wards. We will not recruit somebody from Freetown to go to Kailan. If you are in Kailan and you are in Ward 27, you are going to an enumerator who should come from Ward 27.
Mrs. Momo noted that the digitalized data collection is an innovation which would make possible for the ministry to capture the total number of schools and teachers therein. The Education Director of Policy and Planning recalled that there had been surveys in the past, but that there was no clear understanding of how many schools and teachers in the areas covered.
Daddy Avondo, who emerged winner of the Banff municipal elections recently conducted by NEC for the Salem People's Party, has declared for the Salem People's Party in Freetown. Mr. Avondo contested under the All People's Congress Party ticket. He defected today at the SLPP head office at a press conference held at the party's head office on Wallace Johnson Street. Rose Konima Stevens was in attendance.
Addressing journalists at this session, Chairman and leader of the Sierra Leone People's Party, SLPP, Dr. Prince Harding said, Daddy Avondo attempted in 2012 and 2018 for the SLPP symbol, but was not given the opportunity to contest for the council opposition due to some technical issues. He noted that the Sierra Leone People's Party is a credible institution that always appreciates its own, regardless political belonging. He stressed that Daddy Avondo was not forced to defect to the Sierra Leone People's Party, as it was a decision taken out of free will. Deputy Speaker of Parliament Honorable Singapore Thomas revealed that Bont District has a unique culture wherein its indigents are ardent supporters of the Sierra Leone People's Party, and that Daddy Avondo was born in an SLPP family which believes in the ideology of the new direction for sustainable development. Councillor Daddy Avondo emerged winner in constituency 089, Ward 308. He explains more about his defect to the ruling SLPP.
The SLPP don't deal with him very long time will come.
SLPP did not recognize me during the 2012 and 2018 elections. I was denied symbol. After I contested under the APC tickets, no member of the All People's Congress Party visited me, neither called me on phone to congratulate me. At the same time, I have been convinced by my people who are SLPP members to return to my original party, which is the SLPP, if only I want to be part of nation building.
Don't deal with him very long time will come. To this past election.
Rose Konima Stevens, SLBC News.
The Republic of Sierra Leone Armed Forces and other security forces in the sub-region have held a symposium on positioning security agencies for emergency sector challenges in the West African sub-region. The event was to create new ideas on how to tackle transnational organized crimes in the sub-region. The event took place at the Houghton Academy Hill Station. Joseph Toure filed in this report.
Reports from civil societies and media institutions, the rates at which transnational organized crimes are committed in the sub-region is on the increase. Trafficking of persons,
The Johnson family has accused the owner of Kona Lodge Hotel, Chief Ernest Ndomaina, of being unfair to them. According to the family, Chief Ernest Ndomaina leased their property and has refused to go according to the lease agreements. Last month, tenants in the said land at King Street, Wilberforce, were evicted and the structure demolished. Francis Danima picks up the story. We shall bring you that story as news continues. A delegation from the People's Republic of China is visiting Sierra Leone to assess facilities of various schools in the regions, including the Bo School and other schools in Moyamba district. The Zohai and Makua Senjoa Rebuild Alumni Association is a charity based in China that has identified schools that will be supported during the implementation of the government's free education policy. Sheila Refo filing this report.
Alhaji Musa Kamara, principal Bo Secondary School, said the school has 900 pupils and it is a 100% boarding school. He, however, said that the school is facing lots of challenges, which include inadequate accommodation, school materials, and poor laboratory facilities in the science department, and lack of sufficient books for the library.
Talking about materials, well, if not for structures like buildings and so on, I would have said, okay, classrooms and some few classrooms and the dormitory. But if we go back to uniform, of course, it's now free education. The parents were buying uniform. So this time around, if at all it's free, we're expecting government to buy uniform for them. the school uniform.
Okay.
Science equipment, yes, in the laboratories you have, chemistry, biology, and physics. Yes.
Also took the team on a conducted tour of the school premises. The assistant senior prefect of the Bow School, Edward Banis, was eager to know whether the free education is going to cover boarding fees.
Yes, that is what I've been baffling us, I myself and the SE, because we spoke to our principal how His Excellency, Richard Douglas Madaba, has to do with us on Bow School here. Because we are thinking of, he is saying free education, and we used to pay boarding fee. So if we go tell our parents we are not paying the school fees, then we have to pay boarding fee, which is 150,000 yen.
Juliana Kambe is a senior teacher at the Harford School for Girls, Moyamba. She said the lack of enough structures, including labs and enough teachers, are hindering the progress of the school.
We're running a boarding school and we need a clinic. We had one, but it was being burnt down by the rebels. A school clinic.
School clinic.
A school clinic we need one, as I'm talking, for the girls who stay in the boarding home. Most of the time we have nurses, 2 nurses who most of the time take the girls out there in the government hospital, and once those girls need probably attention, it's very difficult. You have to take them with paying more for somebody to take care of them. But if the hospital or the clinic would have been here as before, it would be very easy.
Dr. Hilton Bolly, who was part of the team, explains more about the charity.
Okay, the company is the Tsinghua Association. Now, Tsinghua is like the Harvard University of China, where the top people in the country attended. Now, Mr. Ma is a friend of mine, and I encouraged him to come to Sierra Leone. He's never been to Africa. This is the first time in Africa, and I asked him to come to Sierra Leone. He does a lot of charity work around the world, especially in the area of education. And it just happens that the president's new direction, one of the president's items in the new direction is free education.
The charity has started with 5 schools, but more schools are going to benefit as the time goes on.
The mayor of the Freetown City Council, Yvonne Akisoya, has visited the Sisterland Women's Care Center at Regent Road, Lumley. The visit is to see the status of the home and find ways to connect the home with donors. Daphne Kema-Macaulay reports.
Sisterland is an organization established in 2017 to help single mothers in Sierra Leone. Single mothers do not have homes and are vulnerable to life-threatening issues like rape and other forms of violence. In order to protect these women and create a proper livelihood for them, Sisterland Sierra Leone has opened a women's care center to house these single mothers and their children. The mayor, Yvonne Akisoya, and the director of Sisterland Sierra Leone, Mariama Mary John, have a lengthy discussion on ways to improve on and how to get more women in the center. The director explained her ordeal growing up as a homeless girl in Freetown.
As a young lady, and I said, you don't understand. There was a time I slept in a taxi in Freetown here, because when I left the home, I actually didn't have anybody here in Freetown because my parents are in Kono. I didn't have a relative here and I was stranded. I really, really know what it means for you to have a roof over your head. I really find life difficult here when I left missionaries home.
The mayor of Freetown City Council, Yvonne Akisoya, said she is impressed with the work done so far by the organization. She added that she would endeavor to connect the Women's Care Center with organizations that would assist them.
But, you know, I definitely will just reiterate that I'm so proud of you.
Thank you.
As a young woman, you know, making a huge impact in the lives of people around her and further afield. Because you're still monitoring and mentoring beneficiaries around the country as well as what you're doing here.
Currently, the Women's Care Center have been furnished and is now hosting 3 single mothers with their 4 children. These women are being sheltered, fed and clothed for the next 6 months. Within the next 6 months, it is expected that these women be involved in trade. The profits of their trade will be saved, which will help them after they would have left the center. For SLBC News, Daphne Kema-Macaulay reporting.
The Coalition for Quality and Accessible Education, with support from the local commercial bank, has ended a consultative meeting with pupils on the free education which commences this academic year at a ceremony held at St. Anthony's Hall. The meeting was to seek the views of pupils on the implementation of the free education. Francis Danema reports.
The consultative meeting attracted pupils from different schools in the Western area. These pupils informed the Coalition for Quality and Accessible Education that some teachers used to take salaries without teaching. Some of the schools have unqualified teachers who will teach few topics for the rest of the year. Some teachers do not teach them regularly, among others. They called on the government to prevail on the schools to stop taking money for results distribution, testimonials, interviews, and others. The pupils also called on the government to further explain the free education package to them so that they will know what their parents should prepare for before September. The Executive Director, Health Alert, Victor Lansana-Kuruma, said the coalition will ensure that extra charges are not demanded from the pupils. He said he is of the view that President Bio's free education package still entails what was promised in his party's manifesto. Director of Programs and Services, Ministry of Education, Science and Technology, Mansare Milton Pierce, said his ministry is well prepared to implement the free education policy in the country. He called on pupils to take their education serious as they have the responsibility to learn.
We do realize that the government cannot do it alone. And today we are seeing a manifestation of the collaboration between government and other partners. In fact, we are looking forward to having a public-private partnership to ensure the achievement of the goals of the free basic education. We want to produce students that can compete internationally for jobs, that can make us stand up tall when we go to the international arena.
He said his ministry will deliver free, quality and accessible basic education to all children of Sierra Leone. Managing Director, Rokel Commercial Bank, Dr. Ekundaya Walton Gilpin, said his institution funded the consultative meeting because they believe that children should be prepared to be assets to Sierra Leone. Dr. Gilpin said the quality of education in the country is not good at the moment and called on the government and all players to monitor the free education so that it will be qualitative. Executive Director, Pikin to Pikin Movement, Abdullahi Suarez, said they involved the children so that they would understand their constraints in schools and find ways of solving the problems. He said similar consultations will be held across the country. Acting Chairman of the Coalition, Joseph Sano, said the coalition is made up of 9 organizations that have proven records of working on education matters for over 5 years. According to him, all the 9 organizations are committed to working towards the success of the free, affordable and accessible education. SLBC News, Francis Ndanema reporting.
As a way to address the spate of children involvement on violence due to drug abuse, the Douazak Pastors Union, in partnership with Don Bosco International Sierra Leone, has organized a symposium for 5 community primary schools at Douazak. The focus was to look at violence against children. It provided a platform for children to communicate with their peers and pastors as their mentors. Cynthia Kimara filed in this report.
the debate they talk about, is it true that the violence against picking them is start now we home or not? The number is them? But I don't forget.
We apologize for the poor quality of the sound. We now go to the international news. The United States President Donald J. Trump has called for speedy deportation by bypass any judicial process in a tweet on Sunday. His comments come days after he reversed a policy to separate migrant children from their parents following fierce backlash at home and abroad. More than 2,300 children were separated from their parents in May and June. As of May, all migrants who cross the U.S. border illegally face criminal prosecution under the zero-tolerance policy. Turkey long-standing leader Recep Tayyip Erdogan has won a new 5-year term after securing outright victory in the first round of a presidential poll. Mr. Erdogan got nearly 53% with almost all votes counted. His closest rival, Muharrem Yassin, was on 31%. He will now assume sweeping new powers won in the controversial referendum last year. The post of Prime Minister will be abolished. The opposition is yet to officially concede, but said it will continue its democratic fight, whatever the outcome of the results. At least 5 people were injured when an explosion followed by a fire tore through an apartment building in Germany. According to local police, several people were hospitalized after the blast at a building in the western city of Wuppertal last Saturday night. An initial investigation shows an explosion ripped through the building, completely destroying it. Large parts of the multi-story residential building collapsed on the street and a fire broke out inside in several places, police said. And finally, in the international news, at least 86 people have been killed in attacks in central Nigeria, police said. An incident that has the potential to exacerbate ethnic tensions in an increasingly volatile region. The violence, though to be carried out by armed herdsmen, fled on Saturday in Jos, the capital city of Plateau State, according to a police statement reported in local media on Sunday. Police spokesman Tana Yope said 86 persons altogether were killed, 6 people injured, and 50 houses burnt down. Clashes between the nomadic Fulani herdsmen, who were mostly Muslim, and farmers, who are predominantly Christians, have rocked Nigeria Middle Belt since 2013 and becoming more common. And that's the international news summary. We now take our entertainment news. Maya Make Show, popularly known as K.WOMAN, is an upcoming female singer joining other musicians in building the music industry by releasing her new album. In advance, she decided to release 2 music videos from the album. Mohamed King Milan Bangura compiled this report, read by Cynthia Kamara.
Maya Make Soso is a young female singer. She is popularly known as K.WOMAN. Mayama was born in Jenkins Street, Freetown. She attended the Ahmadiyya Primary School and the government's Model Secondary School. Mayama's ambition in life was to become a banker, but because of some financial reason, she was unable to achieve her goal. She grew up listening to various Sierra Leonean musicians, especially K.WOMAN. The name she later converted for herself as K.WOMAN. She said her friends used to call her that name in school because she resembled the talented singer K.WOMAN.
Our fans and our people, because from since where they attend school, everybody they tell me say me and K.WOMAN fever. But first I be the vex for the name really. They call me K.WOMAN and not be Lekan. I be the vex, they make the provocation, they make and they even they attend again. I go they complain to me mom, you know.
She said though she was not happy at first with people linking her with the artist, she later decided to accept the name and finally met with K.WOMAN, who encouraged her to pursue her goal. K.WOMAN was later by sound engineer Alusain Kamara, aka Lamzoke, who finally encouraged her to go into the studio to start recording her album.
The first time we may move, so I spot and say this is somebody like get try chance lay her see. So I decide to call him, me talk. I tell him I say I want you to do music, but like if you look at different ways, say I go able to do. I say yes. I say whatever something you do in life, just get the belief in say you will make them up.
Her first song she did was K.WOMAN, Demand Them Police, and this song is one of the music videos she decided to premiere.
Call me K.WOMAN.
Well, for the woman they only molest the man because I walk around and see say the woman they molest the man and too much woman they respect not they even if the man married you know you just talk to any kind of way and they see most of the woman they buckle the man then as street for job money this that. So since the man they don't choose me, most of them say be the man the police. Any woman we molest the man and they arrest us. Be the man the police. Any woman molest the man I go arrest you. Be the man the police.
K.WOMAN said she has respect for the Sierra Leonean populace and appreciates their dress code so much. That's why she composed a song called Lompo, appreciating the dress code of Sierra Leonean people. K.WOMAN believed that coming into the music arena would change her life in the future. She called on all her fans to support her, as she is now in the line with other artists that are ready to put Sierra Leone in the world of music.
Well, from the entertainment news, we continue the rest of news now. We now take the story again of the Republic of Sierra Leone Armed Forces and other security forces in the sub-region who recently held a symposium on positioning security agencies for emergency sector challenges in the West African sub-region. The event was for participants to share ideas on how to tackle transnational organized crime in the sub-region. Joseph Toure filing this report.
Reports from civil societies and media institutions, the rate at which transnational organized crimes are committed in the sub-region is on the increase. Trafficking of persons, drugs, terrorism, piracy, cybercrimes, among others, if not addressed, pose serious threats to peace and stability in the sub-region. According to Lieutenant Colonel Joshua Amano from Ghana, no one security force or agency can provide security to tackle transnational organized crimes, but rather it requires collaboration and cooperation. He was assertive and assured that the event will enhance capacity of junior staff with adequate understanding on security issues in West Africa. Various speakers made similar presentations on globalization, security, migration and border management, which were followed by interactive panel discussions. The guest of honor, Deputy Internal Affairs Minister Lahai Lawrence Lima, in his submission said Sierra Leone has a critical role in the global village. He stated that there are a lot of security issues that could undermine the peace and stability of the countries in the sub-region if not properly addressed. The Deputy Minister also disclosed that his ministry will be going on frequent visits to border entry points and present a concept document on their findings to the President for further intervention. He also stated that there is a need to engage and train standing border guards and revive border policing. Deputy Minister also noted as a ministry that they are concerned about insufficient equipment to police border guard. He encouraged the students to put into practice what they have learned by contributing to global security and inculcate professionalism when executing their duties.
These are issues, of course, as ministers will be going again to discuss at Togo and our relevant nations of Sierra Leone on Monday. The police are already ahead. Sierra Leone, as history actually revealed to us, we've been very strategic in the world trade structure. Sierra Leone in the transatlantic slave trade has been very significant, which attracted a lot of investors to see Sierra Leone as a hub where they could come for business. And so as we were very critical in the Atlantic slave trade, so Sierra Leone is also very critical in this modern time or in this contemporary world today where we are faced with emerging issues like terrorism, transnational organized crime. And so from the presentation, especially from the ONS man, it clearly tells us that we have a serious gap issue in contributing towards global problems because we are part of the global village.
It is expected that authorities concerned work assiduously to combat transnational organized crimes in the sub-region.
Up next is sports with Esther Marisamura.
It's sports update on SLBC TV. In this edition, Sierra Leone has joined the world to celebrate the International Yoga Day with a special session on the special practice of the Radisson Blue of the yoga sport. Yoga is a physical, mental, and spiritual exercise that keeps people fit. This day was declared by the United Nations General Assembly in 2014, and the Honorary Consulate General of India started celebrating the day in Sierra Leone in 2015. Sheikh Usmaila has more.
International Yoga Day was adopted by the United Nations General Assembly in 2014 after a case for it to be celebrated annually was presented by the Prime Minister of India, Sri Narendra Modi. 177 countries supported the motion. Since then, 21st June is observed as International Yoga Day. The Honorary Consulate General of India in Sierra Leone started celebrating International Yoga Day in the country in 2015. This is a physical, mental, and spiritual exercise that keeps people fit and in a peace with oneself. Arish Agnani is the Honorary Consul of India to Sierra Leone. He had this to say.
If you start practicing yoga, you will realize how much beneficial it is. It's an exercise in itself. It gives you peace of mind. If you are yourself at peace, you will spread peace. That is what we want in Sierra Leone. That people should be peaceful, we have a peaceful nation, we love each other, and the message of yoga is not only exercise, but also to spread peace and harmony all over the world.
Every year, in celebrating International Yoga Day, the Prime Minister of India, Sri Narendra Modi, will deliver a statement.
Yoga is not just a set of exercises that gives the body fit. It is a passport to health assurance, a key to fitness and wellness. Yoga is not
Director of Sports Ibrahim Bangura said the new direction agenda supports every sport and that yoga is one that will be given support by the government as it is part of the Sports for Health program. Mr. Bangura commended the United Nations for setting a day to celebrate yoga, which is an Indian tradition that has existed for generations.
As you know, Sierra Leone has been a post-war country for over a decade, and also we have been faced with natural disaster, flood, landslide, and other things. I think this is the right direction for us to join other countries all over the world to celebrate this wonderful day.
Yoga, he says, releases stress and keeps the body fit. A medical expert, Dr. Bimba Bayo, spoke on the health benefits of yoga and encouraged Sierra Leoneans to embrace it. Reporting for SLBC News, I'm Sheikh Usmaila.
The opening ceremony of the Water Polo Coaches Clinic saw participants from across the country in attendance, in which it has been officially opened at the Siaka Stevens Stadium in Freetown. The Deputy Minister of Sports, Kyle Lawrence Bao, officially opened the ceremony at the Siaka Stevens Stadium Presidential Lounge. Here is a report. The opening ceremony of the Water Polo Coaches Clinic saw participants from across the country in attendance. Reverend George Williams, president of the Sierra Leone Swimming, Diving and Water Polo Association, said water polo was introduced in Sierra Leone after the end of Ebola. According to him, the past 2 years has been successful, citing some of their achievements as an association.
Over the past 3 years, we have seen our ups and downs in the Swimming, Diving and Water Polo Association. But thankfully, it has been mostly ups and very few downs. We are particularly pleased to note an increase in the number of female swimmers and female participation in general in the discipline. And we believe that with the right motivation and encouragement, we are sure to start bringing in the laurels in a very short space of time. We also want to note with appreciation the continued and increased support of FINA, that is the World Body for Swimming and Aquatic Sports, through not only providing the necessary expertise for the development of various types of water sport, but also in recent times providing funding for the upcoming associations.
Deputy Minister of Sports, Kyle Lawrence Bao, said the new direction will embrace all sporting disciplines, including swimming association. He called on the executive to extend such an initiative to the province.
In the first place, I say thanks and appreciation to FINA for conducting a program like this, because that is the initiative of the government that in this new direction we should try and revive all sporting disciplines. And if FINA has been complementing that effort, I believe I need to say thanks and appreciation to them. Because for far too long there have been problems within the sporting ministry. Cut across, there have been problems within all sporting disciplines. There have been problems, especially with the executive body. So now, with the intervention of this new direction, I believe we'll try to create that, we'll try to bridge that gap that was existing among within the sporting ministry. I'm also appealing to FINA that if they can extend this facility in the provinces, let it not be centralized within Freetown. If this can be extended to the provinces, it will be appreciated as well.
Bradley Rowe and experts from the International Swimming Federation appreciated the relentless efforts of the Swimming Association and hopeful of delivering well in the 8 days training course. The training course has been officially opened by Kyle Lawrence Barrow, Deputy Minister of Sport. The training course has been officially opened by Kyle Lawrence Barrow, Deputy Minister of Sport. Esther Maisamara, SLBC TV. In the international scene, Portugal and Spain are through to the round of 16 of the 2018 World Cup in Russia. Tomorrow, Argentina will be locking arms with Nigeria. That's the latest update in sport. I am Esther Maisamara. Thanks for watching.
Thank you, Esther, for sports updates. And now turning news the main points again. The National Electoral Commission has presented its annual report to President's BO. The King George VI tomb is urgently in need of support at Grafton. A 17-year-old Kutu HASSANATU CONTEH has cried for help. An APC Daddy Avondo, winner of the Bond municipal election, has defected to the Sierra People's Party. And that's all in the news tonight. Many thanks to the news editor Ibrahim Ansari and the rest of the team. Before going here is two important notices from the Clerk of Parliament. The Office of the Clerk of Parliament is requesting the foreign presidential nominee to urgently submit 17 copies of the following document to the Clerk of the Parliamentary Committee on Appointment and Public Service, Parliament Building, on or before Wednesday, 27th June. 1 declaration of assets, bank statement for the last 6 months, police clearance certificates, income tax clearance certificates, curriculum vitae, photocopies of academic certificates and testimonials, photocopy of nomination letter. Note the official declaration of asset forms are available in the Office of the Clerk of Parliament. Presidential nominee, Engineer C.D. Abubakar, proposed nominee, Electricity Distribution and Supply Authority, EDSA. Engineer Emmanuel Tucker, proposed nominee, Electricity Distribution and Supply Authority. Mr. Irene Benga Johansi, proposed member, Electricity Distribution and Supply Authority. Miss Ada Conte, proposed member, Electricity Distribution and Supply Authority. Mrs. Amy Green, proposed member, Electricity Distribution and Supply Authority. Professor Joseph Aruna Lawrence Kamara, proposed chairman, Board of Trustees, National Social Security and Insurance Trust, signed Peter J. Kulabanda for the Clerk of Parliament. The Office of the Clerk of Parliament informs all honourable members of Parliament that the sitting of Parliament, which was scheduled for Tuesday 26th June, has now been postponed to Tuesday 3rd July 2018 at 10 a.m. in the Chamber of Parliament. Signed Honourable Paranormal Tawa, the Clerk of Parliament. Thank you so much for watching and good night.